All right, this is Sports for Real with Coach Hall. Uh, Let me start out by saying Happy Thanksgiving to those of you that are out there celebrate it. If you don't celebrate, at least go out and get yourself a good meal. A good day for it. Nice weather for it, especially down here in Florida. They're talking 80 degrees. It's starting to feel that way. I was a little worried earlier because the sun was foggy, and I didn't think we were going to make it. But now it's starting to heat up, and with that, hopefully there's no problems. Because as you note, around the world, when families get together nowadays, it's almost like tensions clash, and you have all these outlandish news reports where family members just can't wait to tear each other apart, and that's unfortunate. But today is supposed to be a day where everybody come together and have a festive opportunity. But for me, it's always been about football. Yes, the family stuff is all important, but don't forget the football element of it. Coming up, high school football playoffs usually started the day after Thanksgiving. So teams would have got up this morning and went to work. Now, it's not the first round anymore, but it's the third round. And there are a lot of teams around the state who did get up Thanksgiving morning and got a final walkthrough before meeting up to play the game tomorrow. Right now, the Lions are getting it on with the Bears. And I haven't checked the score, but generally, Detroit, they play good football on Thanksgiving because it's always been a tradition. It's kind of like their rivalry thing, you know how teams get up for rivals. Detroit always got up for Thanksgiving, and even when they were bad, you can count on a good performance from Detroit. They should be able to handle the Bears, and because of the way they've normally handled Thanksgiving in the past, then you should know that Detroit's probably going to handle the Bears pretty well. I remember the first time I saw the Bears and the Lions play, I think it was back in 1980. That game went to overtime, and that's the game when the Bears ran the kickoff back in overtime to win it. Didn't even take 15 seconds to resolve that one. So those are the kind of games you like to see on Thanksgiving. After the Bears and the Lions played, then you got a terrible matchup between the Cowboys and the Giants. The Giants, they don't have a quarterback. They shipped Daniel Jones down the road because they don't believe in him anymore after giving him that big contract extension, which lets you know that just because you sign a contract extension doesn't mean you guaranteed to last for any team. So Trevor Lawrence needs to be on alert. He just signed this big deal last summer, but he hadn't come through. It's almost like he's forcing the action, trying to make something happen, and he was missing a lot of wide open receivers. They're going to play the Texans on Sunday. I'm not sure if he's going to play or not, but he needs to play. The first time they played, he missed a couple wide open receivers that should have been touchdowns, and if he just hit one of those, they would have won that game. And that's been the story for Jacksonville all year. But I didn't put in the chat this time, but I do the Fango Media where I interview fans coming out of the stadium and I get their reactions. So if you're interested in what fans have to say about your team and your opponent's team or anybody's team in the NFL, just go to Fango Media, look up the latest videos, and you can find fan commentary from around the league. Now, tonight you got the Packers and the Dolphins. You know, the league started playing this third Thanksgiving game about 10 years ago. Seemed to be pretty popular. I don't know why you want to sign up to play on Thanksgiving, but a lot of people do. But the Packers, when you see them on Thanksgiving, most of the time they're going to be playing Detroit, or every now and then they would play Dallas, but not right now. What up, yo? Oh my Giat, whatever that means. How you doing, Benito? But today, I want to talk a little bit about college rivalries that's coming up. You know, in the SEC, we finally get the long-awaited matchup between Texas A&M and Texas. You know, these two teams, they really hate each other. And A&M hated Texas so much that they got out of the Big 12 to come to the SEC, thinking they would be through with the Longhorns forever. But lo and behold, who follows them to the SEC this year? Nobody but the Longhorns. Now, the Longhorns, they aren't hated just by Texas A&M. A lot of those teams in the region, they really hate Texas. And I like to find out from somebody who knows, why is it that people hate Texas so much? Arkansas hates them more than Texas A&M does. But the issue at hand here is that everybody in the SEC that's contending for the conference championship have 2 losses except Texas. But Wake says, happy Thanksgiving to you. Texas is the only team with one loss vying for a spot in the SEC championship, and they have to go through College Station if they want to secure that spot. But if they were to lose to A&M, then it kind of throws things up in the air. Georgia, they came back alive last week when A&M lost to Auburn and Ole Miss got beat by Florida. Not really much of a surprise because the way Florida's been playing. I kind of predicted that they would beat Georgia. If they hadn't lost their quarterback, they would have beat Georgia too. So these last couple upsets they run off is not really surprising. But it lets you know that you got to step on the field every week and you can't overlook anybody. I don't care how tough of a season that they've had. And I think A&M, they were undefeated up to the last two conference games. And I think they started to read the press clippings or they noticed that people were paying attention to them. And all of a sudden, they stopped playing that good football that got them that 6-0 conference mark. So now, they still have an outside chance to make the conference championship. But I don't think the numbers are not going to work out for them because their schedule wasn't the toughest of the SEC schedules that I saw. But they had a chance to play Texas in the 22 and 23 seasons, but they refused because they didn't want to have anything to do with them. But now that they're in the conference, they don't even want to acknowledge old alignments. For instance, they used to play on Thanksgiving Day. If not Thanksgiving Day, it would be that Friday. But they don't even want to have anything to do with Texas, so they're just going to play them on a regular Saturday, just like any old opponent. And I think that if they have a chance late, they're going to knock Texas off. Down in this state, you got Florida and Florida State. Speaking of 1980, when we talk about the Bears and the Lions, if you go back to the early 80s, this is where the real Florida teams were, in the same place that they are in now. Florida got on a great run in the 90s with Spurrier. They had some spot performances before that. Florida State started to grow in the mid-80s, and they got real strong toward the end of the 80s, and they went on for that 20-year run they had. But before that happened, they were both middle-of-the-road teams, just like what you have now. But nobody could have predicted that Florida State would have dropped so far. They've only won 2 games. They beat Charleston Southern, and I think it was California they squeaked out. And a couple of games they could have won, but just like the Jaguars, we're the almost win team down here. So same thing with Florida State. But I think Florida State has a good chance, even though most people don't give them a chance to beat Florida, because Florida is pulling off all these upsets. But now they're the team that's supposed to win. So how are they going to handle it when they're supposed to beat a team? I think it's going to go back to your children's plate. Okay. You got your message in? You happy now? But I think Florida State has a real good chance to beat the Gators. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they were able to pull that off. But what I really want to talk about today, I had a chance to watch Shannon Sharp show the Shay Shay thing, and he had an interview with this guy, I Show Speed. Well, let's give this guy his flowers first, because he has a large following on his social media, and he's trying to reach the 50 million plateau. And he's not a Mr. Beast level, but he's getting the following in large numbers. And he gets his large numbers by making outlandish claims and trying to back him up. Well, right now, he had a chance to run Noah Lyles, the 100 guy, in the 50 meters. He ended up losing that race, and he thinks that he's faster than what he really is. So Sharp asked him, how fast do you run the 40 in? And he says, 4.3 sometimes, but 4.4 most of the time. Well, Noah Lyles and the best in the world, Tyreek Hill, they're going to run 4.2, 4.1s all day long. So how is it that he's going to be able to outrun a guy like Noah Lyles? I don't understand. And then he talked about he got in the ring, and he fought with Pacquiao, and he fought with that guy KSI over in England, and, talking about there's no other internet personality out there that he knows of that can beat him. So while this was going on, I typed in the chat, I'll fight this guy. He's 19, so being there's a big age difference between me and him, but I'll step in the ring with that guy. But then I went to start researching him and seeing what he looked like in the ring. This guy's a big jokester and a clown. He just talking to get people to go to his site so that, he can act like a buffoon. Can he really fight? I don't know. But what I saw against KS1, that was all buffoonery and jokester stuff. So that wouldn't even be worth somebody's time to even entertain that. But I know for sure there are several people out there that be willing to step in the ring with this guy that has internet sites like myself. And it wouldn't be no problem at all. So if he got this message, yeah, I step in the ring with I Show Speed. And it won't be nothing like what he think it might be, even though he thinks he can easily step in the ring with anybody and beat him. I can show him something. But the money has to be right because, again, there's a big age difference there. And one good shot to the dome might be lights out for me. So I'm trying to avoid that. But if the money is right, I'll take that chance. So just like I typed in the Sharp's comments, if not KSI, but if this guy I Show Speed, if he wants to fight, fine, let's get it on. But I even talked about I fight KSI or the Paul brothers. But those guys, they aren't in my weight class. But again, if the money is right, it wouldn't be a problem with me at all getting back into shape to take on any one of these guys if the money is right. But as far as him outrunning Tyreek Hill and the rest of those speed guys in the NFL, I just don't see that happening, especially if all you can run is a 4.4. These guys spit 4.4s, out for breakfast, so it's not even worth even talking about. But I am interested in seeing how these conference championship games are going to play out. Colorado had their chance to pave their own way to the championship game because Oklahoma State, that's the only hurdle that they had left if they could have got by Kansas. But I correctly predicted that Kansas would be the toughest opponent or obstacle for them to reach the championship game, even more so than Utah. They pulled away from Utah, but they couldn't quite keep up with Kansas. And Kansas is playing the kind of ball that people predicted them to do early in the year. And unfortunately for them, they're too far back in the race to make any kind of noise. But as it stands right now, Arizona State, they're going to be in that championship game. And there's 3 other teams with 2 losses to try to determine who's it going to be. But whoever it is, let's just hope it's not BYU because BYU is not playing their best ball right now. They're competitive still, but they're just not playing the way they were early in the year. And I think for a conference championship, you want to see the best 2 teams duking it out. And in the ACC, that's another matchup that's up for grabs. The team that I hadn't said a whole lot about was SMU. They seem to be playing the best ball right now. And the SMU-Miami matchup would be great. SMU-Clemson would be great because they didn't play any one of those teams. But I think Clemson, they got beat up pretty good to start the season by Georgia. And now they're going to close the season with another SEC team. Not that really matters, but it's their rival, South Carolina. Now, they've been handing to South Carolina pretty good the last several years. I think might be some get-back time for the Gamecocks. They've been waiting for this. It's been a while, and I think that South Carolina is in a great position to put something on Clemson, and I believe it's going to happen. Now, as far as the way the conference race shakes out, I don't know. It's one of those 3 teams are going to get left out, and Miami, they tend to play up and down in their competition, so that would make for a great conference championship opponent. But I think what's going to end up happening is going to be SMU and Miami. And Clemson, I think they're just going to get left out, probably on rankings or tiebreakers. But we'll see how that goes. But again, got some NFL football going on. You got the Lions and they're taking on the Bears. Like I said, the first time I saw them play, Thanksgiving Day was back in 1980. That's when the Bears ran the kickoff back in overtime to win that one. And they've been battling out ever since. And then you got the Giants and the Cowboys. That is a terrible matchup. I'd like to see what's going to happen with Daniel Jones in the future with that big contract he has. He got cut, but he still got paid. So is he really hurting? He'll be with another team next year, so it's not even a big deal. And then tonight you got the good matchup. The Dolphins are improving, and Jordan Love and his crew, they're dangerous. And they're trying to keep pace with Detroit. So as the races heat up across the land, I'll be sure to fill you in with my take. But as of now, you guys have a great, happy Thanksgiving. And keep your eye on that football field tonight, man, because it's going to get hot. Until next time, I'm out.